today's video we're going to look at the formal definition of a limit. We've got that on the screen here, and I'm going to read it out and explain what it means. So we have if for all epsilon greater than 0 there exists a natural number n such that for all little n greater than n we have the modulus of an, which is our sequence, minus a is less than n. We can say the limit as n tends to infinity of an is equal to a. So this definition is a little bit technical and unusual, but what it is essentially saying is no matter how small we pick epsilon, so no matter how small of a positive number we pick, we can find a big enough, value of n such that for any term a of n, which is bigger than the term a of capital N, not bigger but further on in the sequence, we can get an to be closer to our limit a than epsilon, right? And because epsilon's just any number bigger than 0, this means we can get infinitesimally close to our limit, and this backs up our ideas of what we mean by limits, right? So if you think about this modulus, this essentially represents the distance between our term in the sequence an and our limit a. So yeah, so for if any epsilon we can find some term such that that term and all the terms beyond it have a distance from our limit less than epsilon, then we've formally proved that is our limit of the sequence. Okay, so we're going to do an example. We're going to consider the sequence an is equal to 1 over n. Okay, and we all know this converges to 0, but we're going to prove that formally. Problem is with this proof is if we just start from epsilon greater than 0 and then try to find an n, well, what is n? We don't know, right? So we have to work backwards. So we work from this an minus a less than epsilon to find n, and then once we found n, we rewrite all the proof out formally. Okay, so backwards proofs are a bad idea in general, but the reason this is fine is because we're going backwards to get almost a roadmap of what we should do, and then we're going forwards and formally showing that all this works in the reverse order, so it's okay. So an's 1 over n, a 0, so that's fine. Well, n's in the natural numbers, so this is just equal to 1 over n. We can and we want this to be less than epsilon. Okay, so that's working from this, and that would imply that n is greater than 1 over epsilon. So what this tells us is that if n's greater than 1 over epsilon, then 1 over n is less than epsilon. Okay, so now for our proof, and we call this the preliminary work. It's not how you spell preliminary. I'm just going to write prelim, or some people call it scratch. And now we can go on to our proof. So we let epsilon be greater than 0, then we choose n in the natural numbers. You can see how this is starting to look like our proof. and then such that n is greater than equal to 1 over epsilon. You see, so we're using our preliminary work now. For n, in this, we could put greater than equal than, but in this case I'm just going to put greater than, greater than n. We have 1 over n minus 0, that's equal to 1 over n. But since n is greater than big N, 1 over n is less than 1 over big N, and because of the way we've chosen n, so n's greater than 1 over epsilon, this is less than epsilon, okay, multiplying up epsilon divided by n. And that's our proof completed, okay, that's all you have to do. So hopefully you can see from this example, you have to do some sort of preliminary work, which is usually a little bit more difficult than this example. This is a very simple example. So we'll do another one in the next video. Yeah, so you have to find this big N, and big N is going to be, the choice of big N is going to depend on epsilon, because we're trying to prove that it works for all epsilon. So if big N is independent of epsilon, that doesn't really make sense, right? So your big N has to be dependent on epsilon, and then that way, because whatever the epsilon is now, we just, epsilon's 0.1, well we just choose it, and then bigger than 1 over 0.1, epsilon's 0.00001. Okay, you can just keep doing that because we're choosing n dependent on our value of epsilon. You can't just put like n equal to whatever, you know. So that's what we're trying to do. We find our value of big N, and then we write out the proof, and then using a bit of what we've done in our preliminary work, the proof just writes itself, really. If you do have any questions about this proof, or want to see a particular example proof using the formal definition, then let me know in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.